If you're over 60 and eating fish twice a week thinking you're doing everything right for your bones, what I'm about to tell you might shock you. Some of the most popular fish on your dinner table could be silently stealing calcium from your bones right now, increasing your risk of fractures by up to 40%. And the worst part? Most people have no idea this is happening until it's too late. I'm Dr. Sophia Reynolds, and I've been working in geriatric medicine for over 20 years. Throughout my career, I've seen hundreds of older adults suffer preventable fractures simply because nobody told them about this hidden danger lurking in their weekly meals. Today, I'm going to share with you exactly which fish are weakening your bones and which ones can actually make them stronger. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend hitting that button and turning on notifications so you never miss another health tip made especially for you. If you find this video helpful, please leave your suggestions and questions in the comments. I read every single one, and it helps me create more content to help people just like you. Let me tell you about Margaret Chen, a 72-year-old retired school teacher from Portland who came to my office last year. Margaret was the picture of health consciousness. She walked 3 miles every day, took her calcium supplements religiously, and ate fish 4 times a week because she'd read it was good for her heart and bones. She loved her weekly tuna steaks and regularly enjoyed swordfish at her favorite restaurant. Margaret did everything right, or so she thought. When she slipped on a wet floor at the grocery store, what should have been a minor fall resulted in a severe hip fracture. During her recovery, we discovered something alarming. Her bone density had decreased significantly despite all her efforts. The culprit? The very fish she thought was protecting her bones was actually doing the opposite. You see, not all fish are created equal when it comes to bone health. Some fish accumulate high levels of heavy metals, particularly mercury, which interferes with your body's ability to absorb and use calcium effectively. Mercury doesn't just pass through your system. It binds to proteins in your bones and disrupts the delicate balance between bone formation and bone breakdown. For older adults, whose bones are already becoming more fragile due to age-related changes, this can be devastating. But here's what most people don't realize. The bigger and older the fish, the more mercury it contains. These large predatory fish spend years accumulating mercury from all the smaller fish they eat. And when you eat them, all that mercury ends up in your body. The first fish you need to be extremely careful with is tuna, especially the kind that comes in those large steaks you see at restaurants. Big-eye tuna and bluefin tuna can contain mercury levels up to 10 times higher than safer fish options. I remember treating Robert Martinez, a 68-year-old former construction worker from Miami. Robert loved his tuna steaks. He'd grill them twice a week, thinking he was doing his body a favor by avoiding red meat. He was strong, active, still helping his son with home renovation projects. Then one day, while lifting a bag of cement, he felt a sharp crack in his lower back. A compression fracture. His spine had collapsed without any major trauma. When we tested his mercury levels, they were through the roof. Years of eating large tuna had slowly poisoned his bones. The mercury had interfered with his osteoblasts, the cells responsible for building new bone tissue. Even worse, it had disrupted his vitamin D metabolism, which is crucial for calcium absorption. Robert was devastated. He'd been trying so hard to stay healthy, and the food he thought was helping him was actually destroying his bones from the inside out. The second dangerous fish is swordfish. This magnificent creature can live for 15 years and grow to enormous sizes, which means it has plenty of time to accumulate mercury. Swordfish typically contains some of the highest mercury levels of any fish in the ocean. Let me share the story of Patricia O'Brien, a 75-year-old artist from Boston. Patricia had always been a foodie, and swordfish was her absolute favorite. She'd order it at nice restaurants, prepare it at home for special occasions, sometimes eating it twice a month. Patricia was petite and elegant, always moving with grace, until she wasn't. One morning, while reaching for a book on a high shelf, she heard a pop in her wrist and felt immediate, searing pain. A simple reach had caused a fracture. Her bone density scan revealed severe osteoporosis. But here's the thing. Patricia had been taking calcium supplements, getting plenty of sunshine for vitamin D, and doing light weight-bearing exercises. Everything pointed to healthy bones, except they weren't healthy at all. The mercury from her beloved swordfish had been quietly sabotaging her skeletal system for years, blocking the enzymes needed for proper bone mineralization. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, comment below so I know you're with me. Your engagement helps me reach more people who need to hear this. The third fish to avoid is king mackerel. Now, not all mackerel is bad. Atlantic mackerel and Spanish mackerel are actually quite safe. But king mackerel is a different story entirely. This large predatory fish accumulates dangerous levels of mercury. I'll never forget Helen Kowalski, an 80-year-old grandmother from New Orleans. Helen grew up eating king mackerel. It was a tradition in her family, something her mother had prepared for her, and she continued the tradition well into her later years. Helen was incredibly active for her age, still tending to her garden, playing with her great-grandchildren. But she started noticing something strange. Her teeth were becoming loose. Then came the back pain. Then the fracture in her ankle from simply stepping off a curb. When we did a comprehensive workup, we found not only elevated mercury levels, but also significant bone loss in her jaw, her spine, and her long bones. The mercury had created a cascade of problems. It interfered with her parathyroid hormone function, which regulates calcium levels in the blood. It damaged her kidneys slightly, reducing their ability to activate vitamin D. And it directly poisoned the bone cells themselves. Helen cried when I explained this to her. The family tradition she'd cherished had been slowly poisoning her for decades. The fourth fish you should limit significantly is shark. Some cultures consider shark meat a delicacy, and it appears in various dishes around the world. But sharks are apex predators that can live for many decades, some species for over 100 years. This gives them an enormous amount of time to bioaccumulate mercury. Consider the case of David Thompson, a 65-year-old businessman from Los Angeles who developed a taste for shark during his frequent travels to Asia. He thought eating exotic foods made him worldly and adventurous. David was financially successful, health-conscious in his own way, doing yoga twice a week and seeing his doctor regularly. But when he developed stress fractures in both feet without any obvious cause, we dug deeper. His mercury levels were among the highest I'd ever seen in a patient who wasn't occupationally exposed to heavy metals. The shark meat he'd been consuming had delivered massive doses of mercury that overwhelmed his body's ability to detoxify. His bones had become brittle despite being only 65 years old. The mercury had also affected his nervous system, causing tremors in his hands that he'd attributed to stress. David's recovery took years and required chelation therapy to remove the mercury along with intensive bone-building treatments. But if those fish are dangerous, what should you be eating instead? This is where things get exciting, because there are incredible fish options that actually strengthen your bones. The first bone-building fish is wild-caught salmon. Salmon is a nutritional powerhouse for your skeletal system. It's rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation throughout your body, including in your bones. Chronic inflammation accelerates bone loss, so reducing it is crucial. But here's the real magic. Salmon is one of the few foods naturally high in vitamin D, which is absolutely essential for calcium absorption. Without adequate vitamin D, you could take all the calcium in the world, and your bones still wouldn't benefit. Plus, salmon contains selenium, which helps neutralize the oxidative stress that damages bone cells. Let me tell you about Elizabeth Morgan, a 70-year-old retired nurse from Seattle. After her bone density scan showed early osteoporosis, she came to me worried and asking what she could do. I recommended she start eating wild-caught salmon 3 times a week, among other interventions. Elizabeth embraced this completely. She learned to bake it with herbs, make salmon patties, even prepare it in salads. 6 months later, her follow-up scan showed improvement. A year later, even more. Elizabeth told me she felt stronger, her joints hurt less, and she had more energy. The combination of omega-3s, vitamin D, and high-quality protein in salmon had given her body exactly what it needed to rebuild her bones. The second excellent choice is sardines. I know. Many people wrinkle their nose at sardines. But hear me out. Sardines are small fish, which means they don't live long enough to accumulate significant mercury. They're also one of the most calcium-rich foods on the planet, because you eat the bones. Those tiny, soft bones are loaded with calcium and phosphorus, the primary minerals that make up your skeleton. Sardines also contain vitamin B12, which is crucial for bone formation. Many older adults are deficient in B12 without realizing it, and this deficiency can contribute to bone loss. I had a patient, Richard Wu, a 69-year-old accountant from San Francisco. Richard was skeptical about sardines, but he was also desperate. His bone density was declining, and he'd already had 2 fractures. I convinced him to try sardines 5 days a week. He mashed them with avocado on whole-grain toast for breakfast. Within months, Richard's bone markers improved dramatically. His blood tests showed better calcium levels, better vitamin D levels, and markers indicating increased bone formation. Richard became a sardine evangelist, telling everyone he knew about his transformation. The third bone-protecting fish is anchovies. Like sardines, anchovies are small, short-lived fish that don't accumulate mercury. They're extraordinarily rich in calcium and also provide significant amounts of vitamin K, which is often overlooked in bone health discussions. Vitamin K activates proteins that bind calcium to your bones. Without enough vitamin K, calcium can end up in your arteries instead of your skeleton, which is the last thing you want. Anchovies also provide niacin, which supports bone metabolism. Maria Santos, a 73-year-old baker from Miami, incorporated anchovies into her Mediterranean diet. She added them to pasta sauces, salads, and pizzas. Maria had been losing bone density steadily for years, but after making anchovies a regular part of her diet, combined with weight-bearing exercise and adequate calcium intake, her bone loss not only stopped, but reversed. She told me she felt like she'd discovered a secret weapon. The tiny fish she once ignored had become her most powerful ally in the fight against osteoporosis. The fourth bone-strengthening fish is herring. Herring is another small, oily fish packed with omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D. It also contains good amounts of phosphorus, which works alongside calcium to build bone structure. Herring provides selenium and vitamin A, both important for maintaining healthy bone turnover. I remember treating James Anderson, a 71-year-old veteran from Chicago. James had been struggling with bone pain and multiple small fractures. His diet had been heavy in processed foods, and he rarely ate fish. When I suggested incorporating herring into his meals, he was willing to try anything. James started eating pickled herring twice a week and grilled herring once a week. The results were remarkable. His bone pain decreased within weeks, his energy improved, and over time his bone density stabilized and then improved. James said the herring made him feel like he was nourishing his body at a deep level, giving it the raw materials it needed to repair and rebuild. Now you might be wondering, what's the science behind why some fish help bones while others hurt them? It comes down to several factors. First, mercury disrupts the endocrine system, particularly hormones that regulate bone metabolism. It interferes with parathyroid hormone, which maintains calcium balance. It disrupts thyroid function, which influences bone turnover. Second, mercury damages the kidneys, which are responsible for activating vitamin D into its usable form. Without properly functioning kidneys, even if you're getting enough vitamin D, your body can't use it effectively. Third, mercury directly poisons osteoblasts and osteoclasts, the cells that build and break down bone. This creates an imbalance where more bone is broken down than built up, leading to progressive weakening. On the flip side, the beneficial fish provide omega-3 fatty acids that reduce inflammation. Inflammation triggers excessive osteoclast activity, meaning more bone breakdown. By reducing inflammation, omega-3s help maintain the balance. These fish also provide vitamin D, which enhances calcium absorption in your intestines and kidneys. The calcium and phosphorus in fish like sardines and anchovies provide the actual building blocks for bone tissue. And the protein in all these fish supplies amino acids necessary for the collagen matrix that forms the framework of your bones. But here's something crucial that many people miss. It's not just about which fish you eat, but how you prepare them. Frying fish in unhealthy oils can negate many of the benefits by introducing trans fats and oxidized lipids that promote inflammation. The best preparation methods are baking, grilling, steaming, or eating them in their natural preserved state like sardines and anchovies from cans. Also, pairing fish with vitamin C-rich foods like lemon juice or vegetables enhances the absorption of the minerals. Adding a side of leafy greens provides vitamin K and additional calcium that work synergistically with the nutrients in fish. If you've been eating the wrong fish for years, don't panic. Your body has remarkable healing capacity. I've seen patients in their 70s and 80s make significant improvements in their bone health by making these dietary changes. The key is consistency. You need to stop eating the high-mercury fish and start eating the bone-building fish regularly. 3 to 4 times a week is ideal. Combine this with adequate calcium intake from other sources, plenty of vitamin D from sunshine or supplements if needed, weight-bearing exercise to stimulate bone formation, and avoiding smoking and excessive alcohol, which damage bones. Let me share one final story. Dorothy Baker, an 82-year-old widow from Austin, came to me after breaking her hip. She was terrified of losing her independence and moving to assisted living. Dorothy had been eating tuna sandwiches almost daily for lunch, thinking she was being health conscious. Once we identified the mercury problem and completely changed her diet to include salmon, sardines, and herring multiple times per week, along with a comprehensive bone health program, something amazing happened. Within 18 months, her bone density improved enough that her fracture risk decreased significantly. More importantly, Dorothy felt empowered. She felt like she was taking control of her health, rather than being a victim of aging. She started a small blog sharing her experience, helping other seniors understand the connection between diet and bone health. Your bones are living tissue, constantly breaking down and rebuilding throughout your life. Every day, your body is either building stronger bones or allowing them to weaken. The fish you choose to eat plays a much bigger role in this process than most people realize. By avoiding high-mercury fish like large tuna, swordfish, king mackerel, and shark, you remove a significant obstacle to bone health. By embracing salmon, sardines, anchovies, and herring, you give your body powerful tools to build and maintain strong bones well into your later years. Remember, this isn't about perfection. If you occasionally have a piece of tuna at a restaurant, that's not going to destroy your bones. But if you're eating high-mercury fish multiple times per week, year after year, you're setting yourself up for problems. Make the bone-building fish your regular choices, and save the others for rare occasions if at all. I want you to walk away from this video feeling informed and empowered. You now know something that most people, and frankly many healthcare providers, don't fully appreciate. You understand that the type of fish matters enormously for bone health. You know which fish to avoid and which to embrace. Now it's time to put this knowledge into action. Talk to your doctor about getting a bone density scan if you haven't had one recently, especially if you've been eating high-mercury fish regularly. Discuss your diet and whether you might benefit from testing your mercury levels. Make a plan to incorporate the beneficial fish into your weekly routine. Your future self, standing strong and independent, will thank you for the choices you make today. If this information has been helpful, please share it with friends and family who need to hear it. Leave a comment telling me which fish you're going to start eating more of. And if you have questions about bone health, nutrition, or anything else related to healthy aging, drop them in the comments. I'm here to help you live your strongest, healthiest life possible. Remember, strong bones aren't just about avoiding fractures. They're about maintaining your independence, staying active with the people you love, and living life on your own terms. The power to protect your bones is on your plate, and now you know exactly what to put there.